Hey, what's going on, everybody? BC coming at you from the Amplified Studios on this Saturday evening. By the time you guys get this, it might just be Saturday night, because I don't know how fast I can get this out to you, or depending on where you are in the world, it could be the top of the morning. So I guess it all depends. But this is coming at you a little bit later than usual. We just have a lot to do. We're actually in the process of moving the studios. There's a lot going on right now. But there was no way that you guys were not going to get a SmackDown review in full, which we're about to deliver right now. Or at least in a couple of minutes. There's some other stories I have to touch up on first. But you're going to get a SmackDown review. I'm also going to talk AEW Rampage Grand Slam Night 2 from New York City. This was taped on Wednesday night, but we heard a lot of good things about this show. So BC also wants to talk some AEW. I cannot go over a full detailed review for Rampage because Tony Khan, if you're newer to the channel, he doesn't like BC reviewing his shows. Evidently, I critique it too harshly. I dissect it too much. I don't know. So Tony Khan got all upset. Tony Khan got butthurt when all I'm doing is being honest. I want the best for the son of a bitch. In fact, I'm about to give him some more praise for Rampage Grand Slam Night 2. So hopefully he'll ease up on BC and I can start reviewing the shows once again. But it's not going to stop me from at least talking about Rampage, and I will go over basically, if not all, of the matches on Rampage. So it's a mini review. There'll be time for SmackDown and Rampage coming up. There's a few stories that we have to discuss, man, because they're really big, and they explain a lot, man. They answer a lot of the question marks that all of us had on some big discussions recently. And I want to start out with the big meeting that Tony Khan held a couple of weeks ago. And a big part of that meeting, not just low morale in AEW and everybody in AEW just not being on the same page, but also a big part of that meeting was WWE tampering with AEW contracts and talent. AEW talent getting feelers by WWE. People actually seeing where their status is with AEW. How much longer is on their contract? Can they get out of the contract? Do they want to come back to WWE? It was clear that Triple H sent these feelers out, especially those on the WWE legal team that reached out. That was the latest word that we heard. Tony Khan flipped out. Tony Khan got pissed off. That was the big issue for Khan that needed a emergency meeting. Fuck the low morale. Fuck that everybody's about to beat the shit out of each other backstage, which ended up happening at All Out. No. For Tony Khan, how dare Triple H come for his talent? And this comes off the heels of Tony Khan hearing that WWE in its roster makes fun of Tony Khan backstage in the WWE hallways like this is high school again. And that you just know Tony Khan does not like to hear those stories. And then he comes to find out that Triple H sent people to find out when their contract is up with AEW so they can go back. Tony Khan had enough. He saw the low blow, dastardly tricks that Triple H tried to do with NXT to beat AEW Dynamite when they were going head to head. And he just knows how Triple H plays. I told you this a couple of times when Tony Khan was recently asked, does he ever see a forbidden door with WWE in the future? Tony Khan said, in the past, yeah, I thought there was a good chance, meaning with Vince McMahon. He says, now, the way they treat me now, there's no chance. And by they, he's meaning Triple H. He knows Triple H has a very real vendetta against Tony Khan. He doesn't like the fact that Khan beat him in the ratings. AEW defeated NXT. And for all intents and purposes, Black and Gold was destroyed. Now, it looks like we're going to get a version of it back, but it'll only be a version, like WWE bringing back to life ECW. Yeah, how did that go? Or WWE bringing to life WCW. How did that go? Bringing back the NWO in WWE. How did that go? I just don't think that WWE is really going to bring back NXT the way that we once saw it and loved it. And there's just no way. It was just a different atmosphere, different feel, different wrestlers. Everything was just different. So you're going to have the black and gold, maybe the logo, the colors, maybe the ropes will go back to what they were, maybe the entranceway. But you're not going to get the NXT that we once knew and loved. And Tony Khan had a hand in destroying that. He had no choice. They were going head-to-head. All is fair in love and war, as Johnny Bananas would say. And Triple H, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He's just like Vince McMahon. They're ruthless, and they're out to destroy you. They don't care about another organization that hires a bunch of people so everybody can get fed and have food on the table for their families. Vince McMahon, Triple H, they don't care about that. They want to put you out of business and make sure that they are the sole survivors at the top of the mountain. They will crush any and everybody around them if they feel it as competition. They'll tell you they don't look at you as competition, like Vince said about Ted Turner for so long, until Ted Turner started whooping his ass, just like Triple H claims AEW was never competition, but it was AEW that was beating them. So this isn't to dog out Triple H, trust me. I want to give Triple H a bunch of support right now so we can try to get a better WWE product. So I want nothing but the best for Triple H, but it's clear that this dude will do anything to put out of business, destroy, defeat Tony Khan. Tony Khan had enough of that shit. He called the emergency meeting because he's like, this is the final straw, man. You're trying to just take my talent after your old man anyway, booted them, kicked them to the curb. I gave them the chance, and now you're going behind my back when they're contracted to get them back. You go through the fucking back door and not being face to face, not calling me and going, dude, listen, can we cut a deal? Maybe we can work something out. No, Triple H is not that type of person, just like Vince wasn't. So he called the emergency meeting. Chris Jericho made it sound like it was him. He's the one who got contacted by WWE. The point in all this is now we're finding more names out. Malachi Black was contacted by WWE feelers, the legal team of Triple H. Malachi Black, FTR, is being reported as being contacted by WWE. Swerve Strickland was contacted by WWE. Now, these are just names that we're hearing. You got to believe Keith Lee is another name. That's speculation. That is not confirmed, or at least a reported name from reputable sources like a Swerve, like a Malachi, like an FTR. But you have to believe somebody like Keith Lee, because we heard there was upwards of 7 or 8 names. Well, now we're starting to only confirm 4, and if Jericho is being legit, then Jericho would be 5, right? Jericho, Malachi, Swerve, FTR, both members, Cash and Dax. That's 5. Well, if we're hearing 7 or 8, you got to believe Keith Lee is one of them. Who's the other 2? Eye of the beholder. You would have to come to your own conclusion. Although I can help you out with that conclusion, because another huge report broke 2 hours after that Bobby Fish, former member of the Undisputed Era and former member of the AEW roster up until a few weeks ago, Bobby Fish tried to get Adam Cole, baby, and Kyle O'Reilly to request their release from AEW, to leave AEW and return to WWE under the guidance, the tutelage of Triple H once more. So this is huge, man. Bobby Fish already knew he was on his way back to WWE. That's what it looks like. Wouldn't that be something if he did all this shit, talked all this shit about AEW, knew he was leaving, wanted to leave, talked all this great shit about Triple H, and then all of a sudden, Triple H is like, yeah, we just don't have the room for you, bro. Could you imagine if H pulled that shit? I just don't know what a Bobby Fish is going to bring entertainment-wise to WWE. I know he can wrestle, but there's often times where he's got the personality of a fucking a wall that just got freshly fucking painted. I mean, it's got some fucking pizzazz at first, right? It's a fresh coat of paint, and then you stare at it for long enough, and you're just like, it's a coat of paint, right? Bobby Fish is a good wrestler. At first, he's going to pizzazz you. He's got the moves like every other wrestler does, right? Every wrestler seems like they're dished out of the Amazon distribution center, right? They're like one box after another because they all can do the same moves these days. They all look like one another. Shit. But then after a while, you're like, well, what the fuck is Bobby Fish really doing that I can't get from a Tommaso Ciampa, that I can't get from a Johnny Gargano, that I can't get from a Pete Dunne Butch? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many of these type of... I mean, where's the personality? Where's the Ric Flair personalities? The Roddy Piper personalities? The Randy Savage personalities? The Hogan personalities? the Razor Ramon, Scott Hall personalities. Where's that at? You know what I mean? That's what wrestling needs more than ever. I mean, we have plenty of wrestlers, man. We have no shortage. Shit. We have 8 kabillion. Is that a word, Sash? 8 kabillion. Well, we have 8 kabillion wrestlers in the world. Very few, a limited select few, actually have personalities. I'm not trying to rag on Bobby Fish like he's been doing to CM Punk. Bobby Fish has been destroying CM Punk in every interview he's been in lately. Can't say the dude's wrong, to be honest. But damn, does he have a vendetta against CM Punk. But that's another story. I'm not trying to slam Fish. I'm just saying, if he comes to the WWE, I hope they have something for him, and I hope I see a side of Bobby Fish that I never saw before, like personality, charisma, gravitate our attention to you by doing something other than some wrestling moves. That's what I'm hoping for anyway. AEW, WWE, NXT, I can't say I was a huge fan of Bob Fish. But Bobby Fish tried to get Adam Cole and O'Reilly. Maybe Fish knew it was going to be an uphill battle if he's by himself in NXT or WWE. Maybe Fish knows how hard it is to get over. And he desperately needed Adam Cole, baby, and O'Reilly with him to reform Undisputed Era. Because the latest word we're getting is he tried really hard to get Cole and O'Reilly to go with him. But I can't say for sure. We don't have the confirmation that they were the other wrestlers. Fish maybe was a feeler, was sent out by WWE, got Fish maybe, if they really wanted him. Maybe it was Undisputed Era as a whole. Maybe it is Adam Cole and O'Reilly, and that completes the 8 wrestlers that were contacted. Maybe it was more than the 8. But this came within hours of one another. The names that we're hearing, that Triple H went behind Khan's back and tried to fucking see what their contract status is to leave AEW, go back to WWE. And on top of that, hours later, we get the report that Fish was trying to get the entire Undisputed Era to request releases, man. But Adam Cole looked to be loyal. Adam Cole likes Triple H, loves Shawn Michaels, but Adam Cole remained loyal and went to Tony Khan and I guess told him everything, right? You got to believe these are the names. I mean, because it said the initial report said several names went to Tony Khan and pretty much ratted Triple H's people out, the legal team, and said, hey, they're sending feelers out, man. We just got fucking calls. They want us to leave. They want to check out our contract status. They want to talk. So, I mean, that's huge, man. That's a lot of info, and I think Triple H learned his lesson because AEW had their legal team send a huge warning to WWE's legal team saying, you ever do that again, we will be tied up in litigation. And I know Vince McMahon's WWE. I know McMahon is still the fucking main owner of WWE, whether you like to know it or not. Whether you like to believe it or know it, he is. He's the main fucking owner of that company. It's funny, if you Google Vince McMahon, he's still listed as the CEO. I mean, how crazy is that shit? The owner of WWE. But we know that he's got deep pockets, and he can go with any lawsuit as long as it takes. He's in it for the long run. But trust me, Tony Khan and his father, bro, they got deeper pockets, and they can drag this thing on for as long as they want it to go on for. So I think Triple H knows he was fighting a little bit of a fucking battle he cannot win there. It's better just to deal with who you have now. Don't worry about getting AEW talent. When they come up for a contract renewal, then talk. But right now, Triple H has more than enough people on the main roster, Raw and SmackDown and NXT. There's no reason to be putting up this type of shit and risk a lawsuit because you were trying to get greedy and bring back 20, 25 fucking people because they were former NXT talent. Just to show everybody that there's real change happening. I think this was not needed by Triple H, and this is just somebody who tried to get a little greedy with talent and try to pull his stroke. Hey, it's me, it's Papa H. I'm in control now. You don't want to come back? Come on back. What's this guy paying you? How much longer you got? He doesn't love you like I love you. I'm Papa H. Anyway, those are huge stories, man. Had to talk about that before these reviews. Also, guys, I want to touch up on Omega and the Young Bucks. A lot of A lot of going back and forth on how much the Elite actually knows about when they're coming back, their suspension. Latest word we're getting is that the Bucks and Omega literally know nothing about their suspension other than they're suspended indefinitely. They really do not know the terms of it or how long it is. They're just told, sit home, we'll call you. These are EVPs, guys. This isn't just like it's talent, right? These are executive vice presidents of the company. And this this latest report goes hand in hand with what we just saw from the Young Bucks a few days ago when they put up on their social media and their bio, suspended AF, suspended as fuck. And then like within an hour later, they put up, not sure, to be honest. Not sure, meaning because everybody was asking for how long. When they put suspended as fuck, everybody started replying the same thing. How long? How long? For how long? When is it? When are you coming back? And they literally had to change the bio again to not even sure, to be honest. and for them to put to be honest, they had no. I mean, if this was all just, I mean, if they knew, they're not going to put to be honest. They would just say, oh, well, we're not even sure. Stay tuned. Something for them to be honest, man. They're saying, dudes, we don't really know. You can keep asking. We truthfully do not fucking know anything about this suspension. So they teased that on their own social. The latest report that we're getting, the latest report backs that up. Omega, the Bucks, they know nothing. And I think Tony Khan wants it that way. That was such a huge headache for him. And that could have been dastardly for that company, man. That could have been really tragic. Thankfully, Tony Khan put on his big boy pants and he conducted business like a businessman would do, and he pumped out some really good shows. The ratings for the most part reflected that. He's 5 straight weeks over 1 million. If anything, the brawling backstage at All Out and all of this tension backstage, it's the old controversy creates cash saying, right? That Eric Bischoff famously put on a book. It's true, man. Sometimes any publicity will be in the positive column. You know, if you can turn heads, it's like I always say, rubbernecking on the highway. You're cruising at 70, 80, 90 miles an hour down the highway. And on the other side of the highway, for the traffic coming this way, you see a huge accident. There's 4 police cars, 3 fire trucks, 3 ambulances, bunch of cars, one's upside down, bunch of people in shock, one's laying on the ground. It's a whole fucking scene. Yeah, you were going 70 or 80. You just slow down to about 40, 35, 30, right? You're rubbernecking. You need to see what's going on. This is huge. People behind you are doing the same thing. Before you know it, a nice stream of traffic that was going 80 miles an hour. Everybody's now going 30, 35. Like it's an old granny, over 60 years old retirement home community. Nah. But everybody's got to look at everybody has to look at the car crash, right? Everybody has to look at the turmoil. Well, sometimes it's like that in business too. When people know that your company is imploding, that's kind of exciting to watch, right? And it looked like people tuned in, and they've done that for 5 straight weeks. So for Tony Khan, my point is, in a way, in a weird, ironic way, it actually helped Tony Khan. But it only went off without a hitch because Tony Khan was able to conduct business the right way. If Tony Khan shit the bed while everybody was watching this train wreck unfold, it would be very bad business-wise, and that company would be in legit turmoil still to this day. But it looks like ever since CM Punk was removed from the locker room, even the Elite, it looks like the locker room has never been more unified. It looks like they've been rejuvenated. It almost looks like you took away the poison out of the company, and now the company is running smooth again. Almost like when they started 3 to 4 years ago. I just feel like ever since Punk came in, the locker room never was the same. And you can't even just blame Punk. Maybe it was already starting with the EVPs pushing their power around, making sure their boys and their gals get top booking, and making Weird decisions that a lot of people did not agree with backstage. Even one of the EVPs, Cody, to the point where he knew he had to leave. If you don't know, you're about to know. BC's going to drop it on you. One of the main reasons Cody left AEW, not just for the reasons he gave. He had more to prove. He had things he wanted to accomplish in WWE and the other reasons. But one of the main reasons, and he said this himself, he alluded to it anyway. He didn't go in great detail, but it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what Cody was saying. It was the Bucks. It was the decisions that were being made by fellow EVPs that he did not at all agree with. And it pretty much started the tick-tock, the hourglass. It started that hourglass. He flipped it, the sand started coming through, and Cody knew his time was limited in AEW, and it started with the EVP decisions that they were making. So you can't just blame Punk. I wouldn't doubt at all that a lot of people were starting to question decisions being made by the EVPs, and Tony Khan totally losing control. Anyway, that's a big story there, man. Omega and the Bucks honestly not knowing anything about their suspension. That doesn't shock BC at all. I think Tony Khan wants it that way. That was a huge headache. Tony Khan is probably thrilled he's been able to bounce back and pretty damn decently from this scuffle at All Out. And he doesn't want to even talk about that right now. Just sit the fuck home. You're going to get paid. I'll call you, is what Tony Khan is probably thinking. Also, guys, real quick, MJF, we are hearing reports that his new structured contract, which, by the way, does not have extra years, if that's what you guys are thinking. The latest report we got is that MJF is still signed into 2024, and that is it. But, huge, he gets an extra $1 million per year until that point. That means another $1 million for 2022, and another $1 million added onto his contract for 2023. That's huge. That was what this was all about in the first place, with him not being happy with Khan. All these WWE guys are coming in. They're getting 2, 3, 4 times as much money as him, bare minimum. And on top of that, MJF is drawing out most of them. MJF is pulling in better ratings, even than CM Punk, before Tony Khan listens to BC and finally moved CM Punk to the Q1 segment 1 of the night, which always pulls in high ratings because everybody is waiting there with their fucking remote in hand at the start of the show. Do I need to put the remote down? Do I need to watch this show for 2 hours? Right? And that's when people decide. But a lot of people end up tuning in right in that Q1 segment. For the longest time, CM Punk was nowhere to be found in that, and his ratings were never really that great when he got to AEW. Finally, Tony Khan did what BC said for a long time, moved CM Punk over, and then MJF was many times in the second highest rated segment behind Punk, but only before Punk went to Q1. Before that, I'm telling you guys, I'm a numbers guy. I followed this shit. MJF was beating CM Punk. My point is, MJF saw this for how many weeks, how many months, and he's like, how many more years do I have in my contract that I got to put up with this shit? And he wanted more money. Tony Khan didn't want to do that. He's like, you signed a contract. Put your big boy pants on and go to work. MJF is like, I've been putting on my big boy pants. You know the problem? The problem is I've outgrew those pants. I become too big in this fucking company, and you refuse to get me a bigger size pants. That was good, right? That was good. I didn't have that in my notes. That was not pre-planned, man. That's a good analogy, BC. So that's huge, man. MJF pulling in roughly, if it is just for 2022, 2023, that's another couple $1 million. We don't know how accurate the number is in terms of if 2022 would be a full $1 million, or would it be a prorated? Would it be, because what do you got left? If this deal was made early September or end of August, for instance, and they just kept them off, or if it was made beginning of August and they just decided to keep him off. I mean, the dude just got engaged. Maybe he had other shit he wanted to do. But if this is like half a year, does he get the full $1 million, or does that only mean he gets $500,000 now, a full $1 million 2023? So that we can't confirm, but it is on a basis, $1 million extra per year, however they want to rate that out. You're going to have to ask MJF for that, man. I don't have those type of financials. But that's huge, man. That's a huge extra payday for MJF. And that's going to be a massive 2023 for him because that's going to be the full year and he's going to get the full fucking $1 million. And if he re-signs, you can bet your ass he's going to get even more than what he just got. Also, guys, real quick, back over to the WWE things before we get into SmackDown's review and a little bit also of Rampage Grand Slam Night 2 from New York City. Triple H talking about the blood in WWE. A lot of people heard War Games is coming back. Triple H announced War Games is coming back, and that led people to say, because there was rumblings of TV 14 a couple of months ago, and then we hear War Games is coming back. We know Triple H is running the ship for the most part, in quotes. We don't know what involvement Vince has anymore. But Triple H is running this ship. So this leads a lot of people to say, how gruesome is War Games going to get? Like, what can we expect, Triple H? Triple H actually went on record and says, no, I don't think you're going to see blood anymore. He goes, to be honest, nowadays, people really know the deal. If you start getting busted open, you roll out of the ring, the doctor checks you, the match is stopped. So he says, how would people believe that somebody's busted open and we're just not stopping the match? I think Triple H is revealing too much of the tricks here, man. There's no reason to expose those tricks to the audience. You don't got to say that. Those that know are going to know, and those that don't need to be reading or hearing about that. You could easily have somebody busted open and keep going with the match, man. There's going to be times. BC absolutely agrees with H in terms of you don't always need the Crimson Mask. Like Mox, every match it seems that Mox is busted open. He outdid it to the point where now people actually laugh at it, right? And I love Mox. Mox is doing the best work of his career. Mox is more than deserving to hold that championship and the vacation that he did not go on because he stepped up big for the company when CM Punk went into business for himself. And Mox had to tell Renee, I can't go on vacation. I gotta go in the double time over at work. I need to be there for Tony Khan. So much props to Mox and wanting to go above and beyond and always be busted open, whether blade job, capsule, or just the hard way in terms of getting busted open by a stiff shot. Mox is always busted open. It doesn't matter now. It got to the point where people actually like talk about it too much. People laugh at it. People are like, oh, here comes another Mox blade job. Here goes Mox getting busted open. You know, you don't want to be that person, man. You want it to feel special. You don't always have to have blood every pay-per-view, every show, every other pay-per-view. You don't. But once in a while, fuck yes you do. Even back in the 80s. The 80s, when you had the colorful characters that really connected with kids. The Warriors, the Hogans. Macho Man and his outfits. Even back then, you had the blood, man. You remember the snake-biting Jake Roberts, and they showed the uncensored version, and the blood was just fucking gushing off the arm. What about Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 7 against Sergeant Slaughter? Crimson Mask as he waved the red, white, and blue after he won the championship at WrestleMania 7. We were in the middle of a war, and Hulk Hogan literally went to a war. I mean, that's when it was the 80s, colorful characters. They were trying to really promote to kids. And you're telling me in 2022 you can't have any blood? I think Triple H is missing the boat on this, man. It's War Games. There better be some fucking blood in one of the matches. I don't even care if it's the ladies. Let them have it. But for Triple H to just totally rule out blood, which it sounds like he is doing, I think that's a mistake. I hope he goes back to the drawing board and reconsiders. Because it's still needed. Not all the time. Absolutely not. It's needed in pro wrestling, man. It does help out. It adds to the feel of certain matches and moments. Absolutely. So I'm hoping Triple H goes back on that. But for those of you that were wondering about TV 14, Blood, War Games, this is a little bit of a insider look at how Triple H is running things. Just because it's H, don't expect things to get too wild, man. It looks like H is very tame with how he wants to go about business. It's not that far from Vince McMahon, to be honest. It's probably exactly how Vince wants it to be ran, and he told Triple H how to run it. But I wouldn't even bet on TV 14 anymore, to be honest. It just looks like H wants to run this pretty much run-of-the-mill. We'll see. Speaking of Triple H, he brought SmackDown to all of us last night, September 23rd, 2022. We're going to start off with that little bit of Grand Slam in just a little bit, guys. AEW, not a full review. I can't really do that anymore. Tony Khan doesn't want me to, but I am going to talk about it because there was a lot that happened on Rampage, even though it was a taped show. A lot of cool shit. A little bit of Muda. How about the fucking Muda, man? And some crazy shit in that opening contest. And then my boy Sammy Guevara and my boy Eddie Kingston face to face. I can't believe Sammy did what he did. And then I can't believe Eddie did what he did. I'll talk all about it. First, SmackDown. The Bloodline is out in full force, meaning the leader and tribal chief, Roman Reigns, has bestowed his greatness upon us all. For a lot of you guys that love Roman, it was really cool to see him and Paul reunited and back out there with the Bloodline. For those of you that don't like Roman, well, this was a long segment for you. But Roman Reigns did return with his fellow Bloodline members, Solo Sikoa, Jimmy and Jey Uso, even Honorary Uce, Sami Zayn, which would be literally promoted as an Honorary Uce. I'll get to that. Sami Zayn and Paul Heyman, the entire Bloodline posing with that one up in the air. Pretty cool visual. There was a great part to the end of this promo segment where Roman demands that Sami Zayn take the Bloodline shirt off. And by the way, the Bloodline minus Sami Zayn, they were all wearing a really cool shirt. It's the first time that I've seen it. So if they've been wearing this, for some reason, I just haven't caught that detail. And I pride myself on catching every detail in wrestling. I never saw that shirt before. So you guys can tell me if I'm wrong. But I saw it for the first time last night, and it's just We the Ones. And I just love that, man. You know, a shirt has to be cool, right? It can't just be a shirt. You can't just be pumping out your merch. It's got to have meaning, a good message. It's got to be fucking cool, like the Amplified merchandise. It's got to be cool, man. It's been a long time since WWE has come out with any cool merch, any cool shirts, man. A long fucking time. I mean, like Drew McIntyre on his way to the championship wearing a shirt that says "Kneel to the Steel." You're going to bring that to school in junior high or the high school? Kneel to the steel, man. We the Ones. That made BC want to pick up that merch, man. I didn't. But if I'm ever at a show and that's in front of me, I might have to pick that up, man. I like that shirt. But Sami Zayn is wearing the old school Bloodline shirt. Roman Reigns demands. I'm talking demands that Sami Zayn take that off. Sami is befuddled, bro. Sammy's absolutely confused because he felt he had earned Roman's respect. In fact, he was in the middle of thanking Roman for accepting him as one of the family, basically, before Roman made that demand. So that's what made Sammy even more confused. He was literally in the middle of thanking Roman for everything that they've done for him and allowing him in. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Roman is like, why are you even talking? What's your mission here? What's your motive for tagging along with us? And he says, take the shirt off. And again, he had to ask 3 or 4 times because Sammy was that confused. So Roman has enough. Roman says, I'm not going to ask again. Take it off. And then he tells Jay, like, basically get it off him. Now, Jey Uso has been upset with Sami Zayn anyway. Jay just does not want Uso or Sami anywhere near the Bloodline. Jey Uso from day one just didn't want Sami around. So the whole time, Jay was becoming ever so impatient. And when Roman gave the demand over to Jay, that's when Jay completely rips the shirt off of Sami Zayn. Rips that shit like Hulk Hogan back in the day, ripping his shirt off. Zayn looks like he just lost his best friend, his grandparents, his dog, and his car keys all in the same day. A look of devastation washed over Sami Zayn's face. Roman then says to Sami, you're never going to wear that shirt ever again because I got you a new one. And he throws a new shirt over to Sami Zayn. Zayn holds it up. It says SZ for Sami Zayn, Honorary Uce. How fucking cool, man. Zayn is now ecstatic. like he just got a new best friend, got a new set of grandparents, a new dog, and he just found his car keys all in the same day. This dude was happier than a pig in shit. Sami Zayn living his best life when he got that shirt. He then goes over to Roman. First, he starts doing all the baseball fucking handshakes. You know how they do the cool fucking shakes, the baseball players? They all got their fucking little secret handshakes. He starts doing that with Solo, and he gives a big fucking handshake to Jimmy. Jay is like, get the fuck off me. He goes over to Roman, and he just gives him a big fucking hug. Roman at first is laughing. He's not like, get the fuck off me. But then Sami's really laying into that shit. Not as awkward as a Tony Khan hug, but pretty fucking awkward. I mean, he's holding on to that shit like it's Matt Riddle hoping Randy Orton doesn't go away. He's holding shit. He's holding that shit tight. And Roman Reigns finally is like, all right, get the fuck off me. So Sami has to back the fuck up. But it was such a cool moment, man. I think the comedy with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline just works. And we don't always say that with WWE comedy. Comedy in wrestling has to be done carefully, because if it's too hokey pokey, it's one of the main reasons that wrestling is getting hurt in the past 10 years. Comedy is not done correctly in pro wrestling. But something like that is just done correctly, man. Well, I'm not going to get over that. I'll go over to AEW in a little bit when I go over Rampage. But sticking with WWE, this comedy is good, man. It's not the Fruit Roll-Up Championship. It's not the 24/7 fucking farce title where everyone chases all the catering crusaders once they've eaten all the triple-layered moose cake at catering, and then they have nothing left to do, so they turn on their fucking Samsung phones and they try to get their steps goals in, right? 3,000 more steps and I reach my 10,000 step goal. So they start fucking chasing each other around backstage, chasing each other around the ring, around the fucking hot dog stand, around the arena, in the parking lot, fruit roll-upping each other. That's not funny. And you do it every fucking show, 6, 7, 8 times a show. That's not funny. Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. That's simplistic comedy at the core, and sometimes the most simplistic of storylines, the most simplistic of measures can go a long way. This is just proof. I personally love it. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but let me know. But I just think Sami Zayn is producing such good work. And this weird relationship with the Bloodline, you just don't know where it's going to end. Roman said, what is your mission here? What's your motive? Imagine if Zayn was playing the Blood. We all assume the Bloodline is going to eventually kick Zayn out. Zayn will get Kevin Owens maybe, and they'll go for the tag titles. Imagine if Zayn was playing the Bloodline. You never know where they could go with this, because it looks like they're just in the middle of it. I don't even know if Triple H knows where he wants it to end, or the end result, the culminating moment. But this was a pretty damn good opening segment. Up next, the first match of the night was Lacey Evans versus SmackDown Women's Champion Liv Morgan. Morgan hits Oblivion around the 9-minute mark and covers Evans for the pinfall. Post-match, Morgan uses a kendo stick to beat down on Evans even more. Then, Morgan sets up a table on the outside, places Evans on top, goes to the top rope, even going to the top of the post, while Evans is down on a table down below, outside. And you got Morgan up on the post. You're thinking somebody's going to run in, stop it. No. They set this thing up to, there was a point where you said, no, Morgan's going to fly. Morgan is going to soar. And sure enough, Morgan up on that post absolutely soars, delivering a senton through Evans and through the table simultaneously. Damn, where did that come from? You talk about taking a risk, taking a gamble on a SmackDown. Liv Morgan woke up giving no fucks. Liv Morgan woke up with a clear path as to where she needs to go. Went to Triple H, asked, maybe begged for that spot. Because Triple H, in that same interview where he said about the blood and he doesn't want it anymore, he said in that same interview, he has to tone down what wrestlers want to do today because they have all these wild ideas, and 9 times out of 10, he has to tell them no. So for him to allow Liv Morgan to do that on that SmackDown, I think Morgan knew she needed to remind people just who the fuck she is. And despite the fans out there that supposedly don't see anything in Morgan, that's what I'm hearing these days, they turned their back on her pretty quickly after she won the title. She's boring. She's not a good champ. I don't like the title reign. Or any other bullshit that people are spewing. Listen, that's in the eye of the beholder. If these things are true and that's how you feel about Liv, I really wish you would keep it to yourself because it's just not true in the grand scheme of it all. Liv Morgan has been putting on her best work of her career. She absolutely, and I don't use this word often, but when I use the word deserves, you know it holds weight and meaning. Liv Morgan more than deserves a title reign. And for all of us to turn our backs on her so soon after she won, I think it's pathetic. It's what Brian Danielson always called fickle. And wrestling fans in 2022 are beyond fickle, unfortunately. Much love to Liv Morgan. Block out the noise, block out the idiots, block out the schmucks. Keep doing your thing. What she did last night, so much fun, so awesome, and she keeps taking it to new levels, and I think her and Ronda Rousey are going to be so much fun at Extreme Rules in the Extreme Rules match. In fact, Ronda Rousey recently asked what people want to see her use in the match. People were talking about chainsaws. People were talking about... stop signs was something else. Somebody else said, I want to see stop signs come back. Remember when they used to use actual, stop signs? That was so much fun, bro. But we're talking about stop signs, chainsaws. Ronda Rousey says, I want to use thumbtacks. And then she changed her mind later. She goes, no, you know what? Let's take it a step further. I want to use Legos. Because if you guys have ever seen or felt Legos, man, those things will fucking hurt. If you got a shit ton of Legos in the middle of the ring and somebody's getting powerbombed, sometimes, most of the time, that's going to hurt more than thumbtacks. Ronda Rousey's like, could you imagine if I got Liv Morgan barefoot in the middle of the ring and fucking slam that shit on Legos? Listen, I don't care if it's thumbtacks, Legos. I think Ronda and Liv should put out one hell of a show, man. We'll see. I believe this is their third time meeting, right? Once at Money in the Bank. That was a quick little schmaz, though, because Liv was cashing in. And then at SummerSlam, a finish that not a lot of people were happy about. And then all of a sudden, everybody started turning their backs on Liv. She didn't book that shit, guys. Anyway, one hell of a fucking spot by Liv Morgan. And I'm so proud of her. But I've been proud of her for many, many months. And I'm one of those rare individuals, I guess, that never turn their back on Liv. I still continue to support because she's doing... such damn good work. Good job, Liv. Really good backstage segment next. Ricochet and Madcap Moss talking shit to Sami Zayn for being a lackey for the Bloodline. Solo Sikoa comes out of nowhere and starts destroying these boys, Madcap and Ricochet. Once they're both on the ground fucked up, Zayn says, thanks, man. I was just about to do that. So even backstage with Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn is throwing out those fucking one-line comedy zingers. Sami Zayn just funny the whole night, dude. So that was a good backstage check. And then we ended hour number one with the New Day defeating the Maximum Male Models via the Xavier Woods backdoor Faroot roll-up. The roll-ups are back in WWE, man. It didn't take Triple H long to go right back to the Vince McMahon-isms and how you finish matches. For a while there, we didn't see a lot of roll-ups. And there's Woods doing his backdoor. And I wish you could just say, well, BC, it's Woods. Woods uses it. He calls it the backdoor. Just let it be. That wasn't the last time, though. We saw Fruit roll up a couple matches later. Or the next one. What is it? 1, 2? A couple matches later. We're going to go over it. You know, if that was the only roll-up, maybe I'll let it slide. No, it's not. It's not. And we're going to go over that when we get to the women in a little bit with Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. So, with this roll-up, again, New Day defeats Maximum Male Models. Post-match, Max Dupree is flipping out in disgust as the transition back to LA Knight slowly but surely continues to take shape and form. So, even though it's taking a while, I don't mind this, right? I have patience. I know where this is going to end up, or I hope it does anyway. Most of us hope it ends up this way with Max turning into LA Knight. So I'm okay with them sleeping on this for a little bit, as long as you give us little nuggets as we keep going, and then really hit it into high gear as we get closer to Extreme Rules. I'm okay with that, and he definitely needs to be LA Knight. He can be such a a benefit to that company, and a better factor could be WWE from him. He could benefit from it, and the benefactor could be WWE if they just let this guy be LA Knight. Let LA Knight be LA Knight. And I'm glad that that's taking shape, no matter how slow this might seem that it's going. As far as Mansoor, and Mace, whatever the fuck you want to call them. You want to give them French names, Italian names, fucking Portuguese names, Polish names. I don't give a fuck what you want to call these dudes. I don't know where, once Max goes to LA Knight, I don't know where you put these poor dudes. They went out of the way to dress like they dress, act and do what they're doing now for 3 fucking months when it's all said and done, just to be right back at the beginning of the line with no direction. I kind of feel bad for him, man. And that's the end of hour number 1, a roll-up by the New Day. Hour number 2, Braun Strowman defeats Otis via the Strowman Bomb. And that's really it. That's what my notes have, and thinking back at it, that's what happened. Otis just got destroyed by Strowman. I hope it was all worth it, man. I don't know what this does for Strowman. I don't know how much more we're excited to see Strowman. And I do know how much more it hurts Otis. How much more it makes Otis not look like a threat at all. But BC, it's Strowman, man. No harm, no foul. Otis got beat by Strowman. What's the big deal? It's because Otis has not been a real threat in that company since he lost that briefcase. That's not good. Him and Gable, they have entertaining segments because Gable is so fucking good on the mic and he's so funny. But that's another problem. Gable is more than just a comedy act. I say the same thing about Sami. Gable can go in the ring. You saw that when Gable took on Johnny Gargano. You've seen it many times, but when Johnny had his debut there with Gable, you saw that again. You see it with Gable and Matt Riddle. You know, and I'm okay with the comedy, but there's going to come a point where you have to start making them look like a threat. Gable and Otis are clowns right now. That's an issue. And for the last several weeks since Strowman has come back, Alpha Academy has been used just to be the bitch boys of Braun Strowman. The jobbers personified to Braun Strowman. If you guys don't see a problem in that, that's the problem. Drew McIntyre is out next. He wants Karrion Kross, but he gets Scarlett with the full Kross entrance. But it's just a setup, a plan, a decoy. It's all so the attention of McIntyre can be on Scarlett, which I would not blame him because she is ultra beautiful, as Jim Carrey would say. Bruce Almighty. So his attention is on Scarlett. And then he gets fucking... It's a plan. It's a setup. He gets attacked from behind by Karrion Kross. But it doesn't take long, actually. Just a few seconds. And McIntyre already has the upper hand. He already fucking reversed it. So the setup wasn't that great. It could have been. But McIntyre is able to get the upper hand pretty quickly. He begins to beat Kross down with a leather strap. That'll be used during their leather strap match at Extreme Rules. That is official, guys. So Drew has this strap and he starts wailing down on Karrion Kross. Scarlett throws a fireball at Drew's face. Well, more like the top of his head. Completely missed his face. But they made it seem like it was in his direction. They actually showed the replay. That was ballsy. Because you clearly see the fireball on the top of the dude's head. And that wouldn't be a problem. You could easily sell it like Drew got distracted, at least from the ball coming at his face. But the way that Drew went down, you would have thought he got it. He took the fireball to his face. That's what made it a little wish-washy. But either way, I love the fact that they allowed Scarlett to throw a fireball at somebody's fucking face. I love that shit. You know what's funny? If you think about all the fireball spots in pro wrestling, you remember Hulk Hogan? Was it Hogan and Warrior? Oh man, I forgot which one it was. There was a bad fire spot from WCW. It was just totally. Was it Goldberg? Oh man, it was Hollywood Hogan and somebody. But it was just a botched fire. And ever since, man, I've seen more botched fireball spots than fireballs that actually land. So maybe they got to stop doing I like it, though. I love the fireball spot. I just wish more people landed it a little Little cleaner. I'm not saying it's got to get him in the fucking eyeballs. But, I mean, this one was nowhere near, man. But I do like the fact they allowed Scarlett to attempt it. Pretty cool. Scarlett throws the fireball at Drew's face, more like the top of his fucking head, if that. Drew goes down like he got hit with a fireball in the face. And then when he tries to get up, Scarlett gives him a low blow, and it was a badass low blow, bro. So, fireballs, low blows. I mean, Scarlett is fucking this dude up. You would have thought they dated and Drew cheated on Scarlett because hell hath no fury like a Scarlett scorned. Scarlett was just fucking this dude up. Fireballs to the dome piece. Fucking his balls are getting fucking taken out by Scarlett. And then that allowed Cross to lock his choke in, and McIntyre just passes the fuck out. Cross is screaming, "I'll see you at Extreme Rules. This is exactly what we wanted. This is exactly what we wanted." Screaming as he's passing out McIntyre. McIntyre was already passed out. He's just locking it on even fucking stronger. Pretty cool. I like that. That's going to be a damn good Extreme Rules match. Leather strap. Scarlett is going to be hugely in the mix, man, so it should be damn good. Dakota Kai versus Raquel Gonzalez is next. Raquel defeats your World Tag Team Champion Dakota Kai via an awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating Faroot roll-up. This was after a distraction on the outside as Shotzi was brawling with Bayley and Io Sky. Guys, this is unacceptable. Raquel Gonzalez is beating your World Tag Team Champion Dakota Kai. Champions should never lose like this and this often. Ever, even if you're a tag team champion. Let alone the fact that it was via another roll-up. This is the same way that the same person, Dakota Kai, who just got back to WWE last month, end of July, early August, she got rolled up by Aaliyah a few weeks ago. They did not get the tag titles. Aaliyah defeated Dakota. Think of that. Not just Aaliyah beating Dakota, but the way that Aaliyah won was a roll-up. And it was the weakest roll-up ever. By the count of 3, Aaliyah was already standing up, basically. Like, totally off of Dakota, and Dakota could not even kick out. That's not realistic. Little Aaliyah defeated a badass women's wrestler like Dakota Kai via a roll-up a few weeks ago. And then you look at this last night. At least Raquel Gonzalez has the strength to make a roll-up seem realistic. But if that's how Dakota just lost a few weeks ago to Aaliyah, why would you have her lose again to the same fucking roll-up? It's not even a finisher. And she's a champion now. That's the difference. I mean, if I'm Dakota Kai, I know I just got back. I want to believe in Triple H. I'm trying not to ruffle any feathers because at least they brought me back. I'm getting a good payday. But, I'm not saying walk out like my girl Sasha did. My Sasha had a reason to do that in Naomi. They've been done dirty for so many years. I'm not saying do that, though. But if I'm Dakota, I'm asking Triple H for 2 minutes. Can we shut the fucking door? We need to talk. Hey, even if you need me to lose, can it not be a fucking roll-up? And on top of that, because I have a title now, can I maybe not lose as much? I mean, I'm just asking for small shit. This is unacceptable, guys. It just is. But champions always lose, and this is, again, another McMahonism times 2. You got the roll-up, you got a champion losing. Very odd. This is Vince McMahon shit that we're seeing right now. Makes you think, man. Makes you think. Backstage party with the Street Profits, Hit Row, and many others. And we get more of those QR codes. Those fucking things you got to scan. I mean, you can't even go to a restaurant these days and have an actual menu. I have to get out my fucking phone and scan a fucking a code, and then I'll get the menu on my phone. I went to the restaurant so I can put the phone down. I don't want to look at my fucking phone. I'm going out. I want to just enjoy a meal where I don't have to stare at a screen, and the first thing you have me doing is staring at a fucking screen. It's like you go to Disney World these days, or Disneyland, or one of these fucking parks. You can't even just enjoy yourself at the park. You know what they want you to do? They want you to be on your phone nonstop. They want you to fucking pre-order your food. What do you call that? Order ahead. It might be called something. But you order it on your phone, and they'll call your number or some shit. You can't even look at a menu. You can't just go in and enjoy the menu or enjoy the fucking sights and sounds at a table. No, they want you to pick the shit up. Even when you go in and they let you sit down, they want you to fucking order it on your phone. You want to ride the rides? If you want to stay out of the 2-hour lines, you got to get the fucking fast passes, or you got to stay on the fucking Genie Plus, and you got to fucking, everything's got to be on the phone. Anyway, I just went on a side rant. Can you tell I'm not happy with this phone shit? Everything has to be on your phone these days. And then you wonder, you see in New York all the time, people are literally walking into fucking posts. People are walking into oncoming traffic, walking into one another because they're like fucking zombies on their phone. Anyway, now on our wrestling show, in order to get a storyline, we got to fucking start scanning codes. Hey, you guys want the next wrestling storyline? You better scan that code. But it is unique. It is original. And a lot of people do think that it's my boy Bray Wyatt that this is leading to. We had some more codes last night. Talking about fucking the killing of a father, which goes back to Bray Wyatt's old promos. There's a connection there. So there's just a lot more with this White Rabbit shit and these codes that are taking it back to Bray Wyatt. Now, this is the truth, man. There's still not a confirmation that Wyatt has even had talks with WWE that have been conclusive. Like a definitive, okay, he's with us, and now we just have to pick a date, and we'll just keep building the storyline. We've still yet to have that one report that says Bray is with WWE. Could you imagine if they don't have Bray Wyatt locked, and this was supposed to be for Karrion, and it took on a life of its own, and now it's pretty much Bray or bust. At this point, everybody is buzzing about Wyatt. That if you deliver anybody but Bray Wyatt, the crowd is going to be like, what the fuck? We wanted Bray. It's almost like WWE backed themselves into a corner, but you know what? They don't give a fuck. Money, ratings, they're going to pimp this out. They already have on shop.com White Rabbit merchandise. So I don't see how this would be Karrion Kross. He doesn't need a layer of his character. Right now, he's firing on all cylinders. Him and Scarlett got something special going. He doesn't need to go back to his old character, the White Rabbit. This isn't fucking Lucha Underground. He doesn't have to do anything like that. So why would you waste all of this on somebody who's already established and getting that time in Karrion? It's got to be for Bray Wyatt, or they never really had anybody in mind. They were just fucking around with the audience. It took on a life of its own, and now Triple H is like, shit, I better get Bray Wyatt. After Triple H literally just said in his last interview, Bray Wyatt is difficult to work with. He's just hard because he's got so many ideas, and he's kind of wild with his creativity, and he always wants to change shit because he wants perfection, and he's just hard to work with. Well, here we are fucking a couple weeks after that interview, and motherfucker, you backed yourself into a corner. You may need Bray Wyatt now. So that remains to be seen. But more codes, more hints, more teases to what could be my boy Bray Wyatt finally coming back to WWE. And I hope he takes Alexa Bliss under his wing again. We have unfinished business with those two. We go into the main event. Usos versus the Brawling Brutes tag title match. Sami Zayn, Sheamus, Solo Sikoa, they were all involved at one point or another in this match, especially the ending. Even Gunther was involved in this, man, who was out there to drop Sheamus where he stood. This is going to set up their rematch from the Clash at the Castle. What is that, guys? First SmackDown, or the season premiere, first SmackDown of the new season, October 7th, I believe. I think I nailed that. That's not in my notes. That's off the top of my dome piece. But I'm pretty sure that match is going to be on the season premiere of SmackDown, October 7th. Not next week, which would be the 30th. So, I believe that's correct. Not next week, but October 7th. If I'm wrong, all apologies, but I believe the season premiere is October 7th. I can speak. So anyway, Gunther was out there to set up that. I'm looking forward to that rematch for sure. We know what the fuck they did at Clash at the Castle. Now, let's run it back. The 1D by the Usos ends it for the Brutes. The Usos win via pin, and they retain their championship. Thanks for coming. Thanks for trying. Thanks for giving it the old attaboy try, Brawling Brutes. Hit the showers. This was the Usos nights. One of many. What are they at now? 500 fucking days? Some shit. I mean, they're holding both sets of titles, man. Lengthy. Not as long as Roman, I understand, but this is huge. They're after that demolition record, guys. Coming for that ass. So the Usos retain. Final image of the night, final image of the show is the Bloodline minus Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. But Solo Sikoa, Sami Zayn, and the Usos, fresh off their victory, all posing to the hard cam. We the ones, y'all the twos. And that's WWE Smackdown. Decent show in many areas. Some intrigue. Especially the Bray Wyatt shit. Get out your phones during the show nowadays. Now you got to fucking scan your menus and your storylines. But there's some intrigue, some decent parts of the show. A lot of that was a lot of VKM last night, man. The roll-ups, the decisions that were being made, just a lot of them befuddled BC. You got to wonder, is Triple H starting to now feel the pressure? You know, the honeymoon stage is over. AEW's been pulling in some good ratings. He just got rocked by Monday Night Football on Monday. Triple H is already back in the 1.5s. He knows that Tony Khan's been consistently over 1 million on Wednesday night of all nights. You know, is Triple H starting to feel a little bit of pressure? And he's going to... He already admitted he goes to Vince. He said this on the interview with Ariel Helwani. He said, I of course, he's my father-in-law. Of course I still go to him and talk shop. You got to believe that maybe a lot of this is Vince because a lot of this is Vince. But I hope they get a little better next week. This was a flat show. Moving on to Grand Slam, night 2 of Grand Slam, Rampage. Not an in-depth review. I can't do that. For the third time, I will say this. Tony Khan does not like me doing this. If you know, you know. If you're a newer subscriber, I'm not going to get into it. But Tony Khan got upset with BC. I criticized too much. I dissected everything too much when I was just calling the fucking honest truth and hoping I was trying to help Tony Khan like I do at WWE. I was expecting somebody like Tony Khan to understand that, take the criticism, and maybe get even better. Steady yelled at BC. Anyway, I will talk about some Rampage, though, because there's some good stuff here, man. House of Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King took on Darby Allin and Sting. No DQ match. Allin delivers a coffin drop from a fixture on the staging area that was over 10 feet high. So this dude continues to fucking defy the odds. Sting was handcuffed middle of the ring for most of this shit. Brody at one point had Darby in a choke, and Allin is able to turn Brody around, sending them both flying off the stage a good 7 or 8 feet below through a table. Another badass spot that looked to injure Brody King a little bit, but afterwards Brody went to social and said he was okay. Matthews at one point goes back to the ring with a baseball bat, opposing a handcuffed Sting. So think of that. Sting is handcuffed. He's sitting down handcuffed. And he's looking up at Matthews, who now has a fucking baseball bat. I think it was even barbed wired, wasn't it? Well, he had a bat. And Sting is laughing at him, guys. Like straight up Joker status. Way better than Seth Rollins can pull it off, man. He's laughing at Matthews, who has this fucking bat and is about to he's got fucking Lucille. And he's about to crack his dome piece. And Sting's laughing his ass off, like, do it, yeah, do it. Matthews is like, what the fuck is up with this dude? He is amplified. So he's about to. He's like, all right, bro, you asked for it. Lights go out. The Great Muta appears in AEW. He first that's right, the Great Muta. Now, this was taped. You guys probably heard this. But that's one of those things where, okay, you're hearing the results, you don't need to tune in, right? But when you hear the Great Muta is debuting in AEW, especially at 58 years old, he's a legend. That's one of those things that will bring you to the TV, right? That'll make you watch, because now you need to see that unfold. That's what happened for BC. I heard about it, and I was like, well, shit, I can't miss that segment. So, Muta ends up debuting in AEW when the lights go back on. He first heads to Sting, which brought back so many memories for BC from their WCW days. I'm talking way before NWO, Goldberg, Hollywood Hogan, way before that, guys. I'm talking Surfer Sting. If you know, you know, if you're an OG. So many memories when he was staring at Sting and Sting is staring at Muta, and I'm like, wow, where did time fly? Or how did time fly so fast? It's like you blink, and here we are in 2022 with a 58-year-old Great Muta and how old is Sting? Is Sting in his 60s? I think he is. And it's like, wow, man, where did time go? But it was so cool to see them face to face. But it was not Sting who Muta was after. Muta would then turn his attention to Matthews, and he delivers the green mist right in his face. Not a little mist like Asuka does. This was a stream. It was like a waterfall of mist. It seemed like it was never ending for a moment. And this all goes right into Buddy Matthews. Matthews gets hit with so much mist that the velocity sent him into Julia Hart that was on the ring apron. And Julia Hart catapults backwards where there was a table set up on the outside. So Julia's on the apron. Matthews gets hit with the mist. Matthews goes into Julia. Julia goes to backdrop basically through the table. She catapulted way too far. She misjudged this by a mile, by a landslide. And Julia Hart, guys, I'm not even kidding. The back of her head and her back, her whole fucking back, smacks a sickening thud into the concrete. I think like her ass took a chunk of the table. That was it. Her head and her back, thud, smack into the concrete. BC was just like, no. I honestly thought paralyzed, done. That was it did not sound or look good at all, man. Luckily, afterwards, many people went to social and said that she is okay. So I'm hoping that is the case because that was fucking rough. A lot of people got fucked up here, guys. Darby Allin's dome piece was gushing, man. Darby Allin had his dome piece split up. Darby went to social afterwards and said it needed, I think he said at least 5 staples that he knows of. So Allin was busted up. He had to get 5 staples at least in his dome piece. Everybody was fucked up in this match. Sting is able to break free of the cuffs, and he hits his Scorpion Deathlock finish. Sting and Allin win this match. Allin was busted up, as I said. Brody was fucking injured. Julia Hart just got fucked up. Man, just a lot happened in this match. I know I wasn't supposed to review these matches, but there's no way I couldn't talk about. I mean, there was a lot to talk about in that opening contest, dude. I'll just leave it at that. Wow. Sammy and Eddie are next. My boys. These are two of my boys going one-on-one, and these are two boys that actually have a grudge, like real life, like backstage altercation. Sammy Guevara, Eddie Kingston. Eddie did not like what Sammy said behind the scenes, calling him a fat piece of shit, or calling him fat in general. And Kingston took exception to that, which was ironic because my boy Eddie Kingston usually lets anything fly. He usually says whatever he wants to elevate stories and tells people not to be so fragile. And then Sammy says that, and that was the one thing where that's the one button you do not press, evidently. But Kingston went on to say it wasn't necessarily just calling him fat. It was just, it's who it is in the moment. And he woke up in that mood, and he thought that Sammy Guevara did not earn the respect to call him something like that. So Kingston did go into detail why he did what he did. But I love both of these dudes. Sammy Guevara gets an extreme amount of hate as of late, ever since he's been with Ty Conti. And it didn't alter me. I don't go with the winds of change. I always go with my people. And Sammy Guevara and Eddie Kingston have always been two dudes in AEW that I really look high upon. And I continue to do that. Even through this altercation, I didn't pick a side. I got all my facts, and I hope that they could come together and create big boy business. I was hoping that they could take this real situation that always used to happen back in the day, and then the wrestlers still just work together in the ring. It's called being professional. I was hoping that could happen, and it did. I really like these two coming together to have this match on Rampage. It could have done it at a pay-per-view, yes, but I'm okay with this for sure. And this was very intriguing for the real life concept, what happened backstage behind the scenes, that made it intriguing anyway. But then at the start of this, Sammy Guevara grabs the mic and says, I want to apologize. This doesn't need to happen. I want to apologize. He's on the ramp at this point. Then he gets into the ring and he says, I want to apologize for not telling you, or he says, I'm sorry that I didn't tell you this before. You're a fat piece of shit. And fucking Kingston just immediately starts to gouge his fucking eyes and shit. So this was pretty good. Kingston would go on to defeat, Kingston would go on to defeat Sammy Guevara with the stretch plum submission. Guevara passes out, but Kingston refuses to let him go. So referee Paul Turner reversed his decision and Guevara wins via DQ. Post-match, Kingston flips out and takes out all the security. I like everything about this. This was an old school WWE finish that they used to do. Not that often, but every now and again. And I used to love this finish. And it always surprised BC that we don't do this enough. And again, not all the time because you'll ruin it, but more often. And that's Kingston winning with the submission. Sammy's passed out, you win the match. But because you refuse to break the hold, the referee reverses the decision. It becomes a DQ. Like in this case, Sammy ends up winning. So both wrestlers win, right? Originally, Kingston wins, but when it's all said and done, Sammy wins. I always felt that this was such a good way to help wrestlers save face back in the day, right? I mean, if you think about it, there was 2 winners, man, and you did it in a creative way. So it was really cool to see that type of finish, man. Whoever booked that match, I got to find out. That was really cool. Because, again, I used to love that type of finish, and I don't see it often enough. It's something that can really help the loser in the match because both kind of walk away winners. And especially for Kingston afterward, he gets to beat up some security guards. They got to be careful. Tony Khan is allowing his wrestlers. Too many wrestlers are just beating up security all the time. There's going to come a moment where either even your diehard, your tried and true fans of AEW are going to say, dude, either stop the security shit or just get new security because they are the biggest fucking wusses. Like, this shit is ridiculous, man. You know, Wardlow was one thing. Many other times we saw security getting whooped. But now it's just like, you didn't have to do that, right? Kingston had the reversal. He started beating up Sammy afterwards, even when Sammy got the DQ win. And then Kingston could have just kept on beating the fuck out of Sammy. I don't think security needed to get their asses whooped. Anyway, moving on. What do we have? Jungle Boy defeated Rey Fenix via the fruit roll-up. Oh, that's right. Even AEW gets in on the fruit roll-up action, bro. They're like, WWE's having too much fun with this roll-up. So Jungle Boy defeated Rey Fenix with the roll-up. Hook and Action Bronson defeated Daddy Magic and Angelo Parker via the double tap-out. So again, tag team rules don't matter in AEW. So all 4 dudes were in there, and they just had a double tap-out. I know Hook and Action Bronson, a lot of people are like, oh, man, I like this tandem. I like this tag team. Guys, Hook had a lot of momentum. I feel over the last several weeks, Hook lost a lot of momentum. I'm just raising the red flag there for people to take notice. Careful with this, man. I don't know if they know what to do with Hook. Jade defeats Diamante with the Jaded finish. Jade is now 38-0 record-wise. Samoa Joe and Wardlow, your TNT champion. You probably wouldn't know that because he never defends the title in anything meaningful. But Wardlow and Samoa Joe defeat Tony Nese and Woods. Joe hit his muscle buster for the W. It looks like Wardlow even got a little injured. He was really lenient on that leg. One of those legs, man. It almost looked like something was not right. And he was walking very gingerly on that, man. A little bit of a limp. So you don't want your TNT champion to go down. I got to find out more information on Wardlow possibly being injured. We had a battle royal for a number 1 contender for the championship. Another Tony Khan battle royal. Hangman Page wins this thing when he defeats Roosh. They were the final 2. And Hangman takes out Roosh. Hangman versus Mox or Hangman versus MJF will be your match in the future. Lights out main event, Starks versus Hobbs. They used everything but the kitchen sink. There's no way I'm going over this motherfucking schmaz, but it was fun. And I'm high on Starks, man. I like Starks a lot. Starks ends up winning this with Rochambeau, whatever the fuck. Pretty fucking huge, man, when you're picking up a huge motherfucker like Powerhouse Hobbs and you're Ricky Starks, who isn't the biggest dude. That was pretty badass. And Starks wins and retains that. So, I mean, that was a huge night two, even though it was taped. That was a huge night 2 of Grand Slam for Rampage, man. It'll be interesting to see if that can help their numbers at all. You know, night 1 of Grand Slam on Dynamite this past Wednesday, I felt was really, I called it a near perfect show for Dynamite standards. And somehow they lost almost 150,000 viewers. BC was like, what the how is that possible? They pulled a 1.175 last week. This is great. It was like a pay-per-view this past Wednesday, and they lost 150,000. So I don't know anymore with AEW's ratings, man. I mean, they're usually all over the place. I never can gauge AEW's audience, man. It's the strangest audience. They pick and choose when they want to come in and out. It's so weird. So I can't even begin to predict what AEW will pull for a rating. But that was a damn decent, even good show for Rampage. I will say that. So that's why I couldn't give a full review. Although that was pretty damn good, man. That was not bad. I at least talked about it. Because I thought it was more, I mean, I felt the boys and girls put on a show that was more than deserving to be talked about. Sorry, not sorry, Tony. Anyway, that's it, guys. That's what I got. I tried to keep this under an hour. Clearly, that did not happen. There was a lot to talk about, a lot of stories, a lot of shows to review, and that's what I'm giving you late on this Saturday evening. For now, go ahead, whoop the rest of this weekend's ass. Think, be, live, amplified always, and until next time, top guy, and I'm fucking out. Don't forget, smash that motherfucking up. Help that algorithm. And BC will check you later. Check you guys. I'm out. Peace. Deuces.